What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley, that's Scott Savage, and you can join us at InsideTheGame.ca, YouTube at Inside the Game Official, and of course those podcast services thanks to our friends over at Fired Up Network and the TV streaming networks around the globe like Roku, Amazon Prime, Samsung Plus, Jinx Esports TV, ESTV, and the list just goes on and on. Scott, devastating news over the weekend. My Habana mug lost the handle. Dude, that hurts.
Oh no.
Dude, I was devastated. It kind of crushed me a little bit. But speaking of crushing news, what's on today's show?
Yeah, that is not the only company that has seemed to have lost something. As we have Major Nelson set to leave Microsoft after 22 years. It's a bit of a sad topic for myself.
Yeah.
We do have Microsoft announcing a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. The Fable reboot's narrative lead has decided to leave Playground Games. VR Skater has some new details, and there are a few games coming out today.
There we go. It's a hot show. Let's get going. Let's dive in. Scott, topic number one is a bit of a disappointing one. It's sad news, but it's happy news. This Major Nelson is leaving Microsoft after 22 years. Grant Taylor Hill, Insider Gaming, had this to say. Larry Major Nelson Herb has announced online that he's leaving Microsoft, and by association, Xbox. After more than 22 years in the company, he has been a recognizable presence within Xbox for the longest time, with his career in the division starting way back in 2003. Following a stint working on Microsoft's MSN music product, I kid you not, Scott.
Oh.
I know. Yeah, in 2012, Herb was made Senior Director of Communications following years of innovation and valuable contributions to some of the biggest leaps in Xbox features, such as achievements. So we can all thank Major Nelson for achievements, Scott. You're welcome.
That's funny because I was looking up Major Nelson here.
Yeah.
I am quite certain that I have a higher gamer score than Major Nelson.
He plays a lot of early games. That's the thing, right? You got to take a look at where he gets his games first versus where we get our games sometimes. And he's in there at the ground level.
That is true, but back in high school, I worked at Blockbuster, and I love to bring that up because I had some games early too.
Rest in peace.
Major Nelson at the moment is at 138,000 gamer score. I, on the other hand, am at 256.
Nice. Well done. He has been a tireless force within the Xbox community for more than 2 decades, but now it's time to move on. What comes next for Major Nelson? Well, Major Nelson revealed that he's going to spend some time with his family before figuring out what comes next for his career. As the news dropped, tributes poured in across the industry and figureheads from Xbox and across the business at large, showing their appreciation for Herb's hard work and dedication to the industry itself for such a long period of time. Major Nelson's podcast, which has run almost as long as his career within Microsoft, will be going on a short hiatus over the summer, but will burst back onto the scene thereafter with a new format. I hit him up, said thank you for everything he's done. What he's done for Xbox has been a monumental step, I think, moving forward in gaming in general. So never mind just Xbox, I think just in gaming. Larry Herb, Major Nelson, an absolute legend. Definitely going to feel his presence lost over there at Xbox. Here's the other side. I haven't seen him really lately either. You can tell he's been winding down, getting ready to say his farewells. But, hats off to Major Nelson. I can't wait to see what he's going to do next. He says he's not going that far from what I've been able to kind of pick up, Scott.
Yeah, very curious. I wonder where that's going to land. Is he going to go work for the other side now?
I doubt it.
Or...
I think he's just bleeds green, right?
Oh, he's likely done with video games after 22 years, though. How far away can you really step?
Maybe he joins Reggie, right? Maybe he goes on boards and things like that, like Reggie's doing right now. He retired from Nintendo, but Reggie Fils-Aimé is now on this board, that board, whatever. He's still talking games, just in a different way. So, I don't know. Hats off to Major Nelson.
You do see everybody's outpouring, including just everybody from the insider Xbox, and regardless, everybody seems to love Major Nelson, and it will be different without him there. And he kind of brought Xbox into the modern age, if you ask me.
Absolutely. It's funny to see the Xbox present versus the PlayStation presence, right? We had a stint where PlayStation had a face, but when you think of Xbox, you go to Phil Spencer and you go to Major Nelson, and those are the two that kind of been carrying, I feel, Microsoft and Xbox for so long in the gaming space, where we don't have that same level of praise, community engagement on the other side for PlayStation. So I wonder what happens now when we lose Major Nelson. Who will step up? Maybe Jeff Rubenstein will kind of take his place a little bit. We'll see. If you don't know Jeff actually came from PlayStation, went over to work with Major Nelson. He's on the podcast. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I got a pleasure talking with Jeff a long time ago, and Major Nelson. Yo, what a presence. It's gonna.
Oh, I wish I had spoken to him.
Ah, dude, it was cool. Very cool people. Major Nelson, hats off. He's been around forever. We'll see where he goes next. We'll keep everybody posted. Scott, it's still going, but deals are being made. Microsoft announces binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Jordan Midler over at VGC. Phil Spencer has announced that Microsoft and PlayStation have signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. While little is known about the terms of the agreement or how long it will last, it puts to bed one of the biggest hurdles in Microsoft's prolonged acquisition of the Call of Duty publisher. Microsoft President Brad Smith said, quote, "From day one of this acquisition, we've been committed to addressing the concerns of regulators, platform, and game developers and consumers. Even after we cross the finish line for this deal's approval, we will remain focused on ensuring that Call of Duty remains available on more platforms and for more consumers than ever before," end quote. Although several Microsoft figures testified that the idea of making Call of Duty exclusive was never on the table. I don't know about that one, Scott. It remained a sticking point for the PlayStation maker. Call of Duty is regularly the best-selling game of the year, and even if full exclusivity was off the table, the prospect of the game entering Xbox Game Pass at launch for a comparable tiny fee was one of PlayStation's largest issues with the deal. A U.S. court denied the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, requests to further halt Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, paving the way for the deal to close. Earlier this week, the Xbox firm won a court battle with the FTC, which is seeking to block the deal over the antitrust concerns. Dude, we're like this close from finally wrapping this up. Another deal being made. They offered a deal right at the get-go, though, Scott, for PlayStation to take a 10-year deal. Right? Hey, we're not going to take this just for us. We will keep it on PlayStation for 10 years. But after the 10 years, now we're just speculating, okay? We don't know the actual outcome of the deal, what that kind of contract looks like, Scott. But you have to think that they just offered them the same deal as everybody else, maybe with a little bit more cushion. We'll put it on PlayStation Plus, right? Maybe something along that line as well. Get people in. At this point, they're making so much money off of Call of Duty. Like, it's just one little hurdle they had to get over to kind of just seal this deal and get it done with.
That's interesting. To get this deal done, do you think they're going to catapult Sony into the subscription wars that we see? Now it'll kind of... Sony might want to do a PlayStation Plus and kind of bind it there, negotiate in the same realm as Xbox in that way. But it's interesting because the perception is that this is the 10-year deal. Whether that's true or not, I'm not certain. But it only seems to include Call of Duty, which kind of snubs the other IPs if you're one of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it also leaves the door open. Are there any of these IPs that Xbox will take and perhaps will make exclusive, bring up, kind of, enjoy the fruit of this deal quicker? Yeah. And what kind of IPs could that be? That could be StarCraft.
Well, that's just
Singularity is one that's mentioned. There are several.
Well, there's so many eyes right now just on Call of Duty. They're missing the rest of the library over at Activision Blizzard, right? Like, that's the biggest thing. You're not seeing the bigger picture, at least from what we see from the outside looking in. Maybe there are documents stating that they have looked at this IP, that IP, whatever. But the biggest IP coming out of Activision Blizzard when it comes to the console race is Call of Duty, right? And then they just need to make sure that they are able to secure their spot for Call of Duty on PlayStation. Jim Ryan is probably not all that impressed by this actually going through, right? Because he's been there fighting it the whole way, but then caught in an email saying that we'll be just fine. I think kind of bit him in the behind a little bit. But either way, it's nice to see this getting closure. I think at this point, it's been going on for so long. We keep talking about this in particular, and that we just want to get past it and talk about something else at some point. But also on the other side of it too, is not only is it Call of Duty, but it's the whole mobile division we keep bringing up, right? Like, that's where Xbox really struggles. And furthermore, so is PlayStation. Neither one of them really have a strong presence in that mobile market. Now bringing in Activision, Blizzard, and King, right? King is the mobile side. Right there, dude, like, they're going to put them at a whole other level, which then kind of makes me excited, because if they invest that, not back into just mobile, but into the console side of things as well, who knows what else we'll get. Maybe we'll get new IPs out of Activision Blizzard, something we haven't really seen in forever.
Well, I'm not familiar with King's portfolio. There might be a lot of IPs that we see resurrected
Candy Crush?
from there. Candy Crush. I was going to ask you, put you on the spot. What IP do you think is the strongest across the industry? Is it Call of Duty? Candy Crush is a nice second, actually.
Well, Candy Crush for the mobile side, right? But when it comes to the console side of things, it is Call of Duty, right? Everybody knows. Even if you're not the strongest gamer or the most in-depth like we are when we talk about this news on a daily basis, everybody's heard of Call of Duty, right? You go to the Super Bowl commercials have Call of Duty sometimes. Like, it is that big a presence that Call of Duty is just known worldwide, regardless of whether or not you're in on the industry, a casual gamer, or just not a gamer at all. You just know the name. Oh, Call of Duty. Yeah, I've heard of that game. Yeah, you and everybody else. And that's why PlayStation's like, we can't really afford to lose this. Scott, topic number 3. The Fable reboot's narrative lead has left Playground Games. Jordan Miller over VGC. Anna McGill, the narrative lead on the upcoming Fable reboot, has announced that they are leaving the project. Miguel has worked previously on Guild Wars 2, Dishonored, we all know how we feel about that one here, and Control. Scott, you love that one too. Said on Twitter that she has, quote, had several wonderful years scribbling away in my fairy tale cottage, but the time feels right for new challenges, end quote. Quote, working on Fable was a dream come true for me, and it's wrenching to leave it behind, but Playground Game has assembled her heroically talented team, so I know it's in good hands. I'm excited for what's to come next, for them and for me, end quote. Miguel said. Scott, there's two sides to this, right? Either A, they didn't leave on good terms, but here it sounds like her job is just done. And I think she's been there writing the main component of the game. Now it's up to the rest of the Playground Game to get that game up and running. This is where I'm a little concerned, because we haven't seen very much of this game since its announcement years ago.
Well, we did get a little bit of a cinematic cutscene in Engine, and that was a little less than impressive at the time. Although the character did look incredibly detailed, it just wasn't what everybody was looking for, I don't think.
No, right? We saw it just at this year's Xbox event, we'll call it, right? The E3, non-E3 showcase kind of thing. Yeah. But we were hoping for Fable. What we got was an in-game cinematic reveal again, right? So the very first reveal was a cinematic trailer. This one was an in-game cinematic. It's just like, man, you really don't show us the meat and potatoes of the game. Like, what are we doing? Who is our character? What is our purpose? What is this? We got this Jack and the Beanstalk feel. I'm like, all right, cool. We get that kind of side of it. But at the same time, Fable's been around for so long. There's a lot of hopes and dreams riding on this game. I'm sure the pressure over at Playground Games is starting to really build, just because when are we going to get this game, Scott? It was announced so long ago. It's one of those, I think it was a hard lesson learned that they're revealing things too soon. And we get into this a lot in our industry. And I think a lot of the developers are starting to realize we need to hold off until we are almost secure in the fact that our release date is ready to go, right? Because if they release something or announce something too soon, the fans just build up and go, okay, where's the game? Where's the game? We do this all the time here, right? Because the games are announced so early. We're like, yo, where is Fable? Yo, where is Beyond Good and Evil 2? Yo, where is Skull and Bones? Like, dude, like the
Perfect
list.
Dark.
No, man, right? I get maybe at the time when Xbox first announced it, they're like, we really don't have much to show, so we need to create like a cinematic trailer, and then from there we're gonna announce this, Avowed, that, and the other, right? So then all of a sudden they start
there's another one.
Revealing all these games, these projects that they're working on, and you're like, okay, cool, here we go. And then years go by without seeing anything, and the worry starts to come up. First of all, Playground Games, Horizon series, right? The Forza Horizon series is what they've been known for, and have nailed it year in and year out. That is my go-to racing game, hands down. Absolutely love that franchise. Now we're getting into Fable. I'm like, yo, dude, like you went, That's a full scale drop right there. Like, you guys went in a whole different direction. Can they do it? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But a lot of hopes, I think, are riding on Xbox, and a lot of pressure too, coming off of Redfall's failure, right? Halo's failure. Like, the list is going on and on right now, where Xbox fans are going, where is some of these, you know, standout games that we should be playing right now? And I think Fable has to carry that weight. Obviously, we're getting Starfield this year in September. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, for Bethesda to make sure that they nail it, that we don't get the usual Bethesda jank, that we are coming around and out of that and into something that's going to be a standout. But dude, the Fable pressure alone, where are your hopes and dreams? What do you think we get this anytime soon?
I'm thinking it's going to be in the second half of 2024, if I had to guess. But that's just really a shot in the dark. I really want this to land in the same way that number 1 did, or in a way that the number 1 remaster just hit the mark perfectly again. So I have hope still, but I want to see more. I want to see some of the combat systems at work. I hope they don't really try and change too much, being that this is a reboot of sorts. It could be changed quite a lot, but we just don't know, and that's the most wrenching part of it.
Right? There's just so many questions and concerns, but I feel at one point or another we're gonna get that Fable Direct, like what we did with Starfield, right? Once we had that Starfield Direct, I felt like, here we go. You're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that, you're gonna be doing that. I'm just like, they started listing off all this stuff. Right now on the show, there's so much to talk about when it comes to Starfield alone. We have a weekly segment going, right? Just about 1.5 to 2 minutes to talk about what's kind of happening in that world. And I want to be able to do the same thing when it comes to Fable and what we hope to get out of that and where this is going to take us, right? Because there is a lot kind of to unpack with the future of Fable, because we are, man, there's just so much relying right now with Xbox to kind of step it up. They really do. When it comes to the world of PlayStation, dude, they're crushing their studios, right? Their studios are absolutely nailing it. Horizon from Guerrilla, right? We're getting Spider-Man out of Insomniac. We're getting The Last of Us out of Naughty Dog. Right now, when you talk about Xbox, what do we have, Scott?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Everybody points to Redfall and Halo, and that's really all I can scratch off memory as well.
Dude,
what's Coalition doing?
Gears. I'm telling you, they're doing Gears.
I think it's time for a Gears reveal, but again, like you said, we don't want them to make the mistake of doing that too early.
When was Gears 5 out? Like, my wife and I beat that together, and I want to say it was got to be 4 years ago. So we should be getting close, right? Yeah, somewhere around there. And then you had Gears Tactics, which was really, really good as well. And now I know the tactics genre isn't for everybody, but yo, if you haven't played Gears Tactics, go check that one out. That was fantastic. But you do have this kind of this riding competition between PlayStation studios and then Xbox studios, and they're just on 2 different levels right now. Xbox needs to catch that back up. Do you think about talking about Halo? Dude, do you ever think we'd be in the state it currently is in? I feel like Halo right now should be at the point where Destiny is, where it's just dropping new content on a regular basis that keeps the player base engaged. Now, we've seen a lot of heads move from 343 Industries and move out, so we're getting fresh blood in there. Maybe that's a turning point for Halo. What are you... Dude, are we getting another campaign soon? Like, are we getting... I say soon. We're not getting that soon. Let's be honest, right?
Not soon.
We are like 4 or 5 years out from the next Halo campaign, but there's no way they're going to keep Halo Infinite multiplayer alive for the next 4 years.
No, not for 4 years. Oh, I think they're scrambling over at 343 to hopefully create a full new product. But in the meantime, I would like to see Spartan Ops return. Play online, a bunch of co-op people jump in and fight NPCs, and it worked out really well in the case of Halo 4, I believe.
Yep. No, for sure. So, I don't know. Fingers crossed for Fable. I know there's a lot of fans waiting with bated breath for the next one. I'm a huge fan. You're a huge fan. It's kind of, at one point, dude, it used to be Fable and Halo, right? Like, that's kind of the key. And Perfect Dark. I almost missed it. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah.
I almost missed it. I got it. I got there.
That's a big one.
Right? But it's so close to getting to that point where we need these franchises back to carry, or they need to create new IPs and bring us into the next generation for Xbox to fall in love with some of these characters, like when we get into the world of God of War or Aloy from Horizon with PlayStation side. right? Because they just don't have that right now, and it's really unfortunate because we should be there still to this day, because Xbox is coming out flat right now. As much as we play on Xbox all the time, it's just one of those things, man. Like, it's just, where are these heavy hitters that are there? What's carrying them along, honestly, is all the third-party content.
Absolutely.
Scott, we received a press release on VR Skater, which has been delayed. If you haven't seen this one, it's a skateboarding game in VR. I don't know how it works either. We're waiting on our codes to arrive, and we'll tell you more about it. But here's what I received this morning. We are targeting the 21st of July for the release, but unfortunately, we have moved this back to the 4th of August. The reason is for the process through PlayStation approval has taken a little longer than we expected. This is, quote, not the fault of Sony. In fact, Sony has been amazing. However, we have had a few things we need to fix, including some trophy issues, which is nice to see. Don't mess up our trophies. We do like some of those sometimes. Scott, actually, I'm on the hunt right now, possibly for the Hogwarts Platinum. But we'll get into that another time. The good news is that these have been fixed, and although we could have looked into a day one patch, still kept our release date, we want to make sure all the new changes are thoroughly tested well in advance of the release date. Therefore, today, we made the tough decision to move VR Skater for PSVR 2 back 2 weeks to August 4th. Scott, love the transparency. I love that they're out in front of this going, hey, you know what? We're just not quite there yet. We wanted to fix a couple more things. We're just going to delay this a little bit. 2 weeks? Dude, who cares? Like 2 weeks? Yo, if that makes the game better, go for it.
Absolutely. That's a very small price to pay.
Scott, it's only Monday, but there's a bunch of games out today in the world of PC. You PC dorks.
We have Evergreen Mountain Life Simulator on PC. That sounds like a very nice simulator to me. We also have The Complex Expedition on PC. Pocket Academy 3 is now on PC. And what might be my favorite on this list, Cats Hidden in Paris on PC.
Oh man, hit up Scott on Twitter at the official ITG and let us know what Cats Hidden in Paris is all about if you play that one. Oh boy. Well, that'll wrap up today's episode of ITG Daily. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Scott, what did you play over the weekend?
Oh, really hard to remember almost. A little bit of some Exo Primal.
Ah, nice. And early thoughts?
Siege. Oh, Siege as usual, but the Exo Primal, I'm still waiting for it to kind of bite me. Pun.
Well done. But again, thanks so much for watching. I'm Drew Bosley. That is Scott Savage.
We'll see you inside the game.